Hey guys, it's Simon here with HobbiesofaMan once again, and today we're doing another manga review. Today we're looking at Slam Dunk. This is the first volume, but we're only going to be talking about half of it, more or less, which is kind of the introductory arc. So it's kind of difficult because Slam Dunk doesn't really have arcs in the way that like most modern shonen stories do. It kind of just flows one day to the next with no real breaks. And so it's kind of hard for me to really find how to, portion this out into reviews, right? Because I can't just talk about the whole series, or I can't talk about it in certain volume chunks because they kind of end up halfway through story points, right? So this is going to be a bit experimental. You might disagree with the way that I divide these, but it is what it is. This is kind of what feels most accurate to me, right? So we're looking at Slam Dunk by Takehiko Inoue. If you are interested in this edition, this is not an American edition. This is from Mexico. This is Panini Manga Mexico's edition. It's a oversized book, only slightly though. It's kind of a weird size. It almost feels kind of like a vertical book, right? And it has French flaps, and it has color pages as well. And there's kind of an oddity here where some books have like this like normal paper with color on it, and then some of them have like very thin comic book paper style, things. And every once in a while, there's also colored pages scattered throughout the normal volume, right? And like I said, it has French flaps, and it also comes with a bookmark. This is kind of the first bookmark, the only bookmark that's given, because Panini Manga Mexico likes to do this thing where every first volume, or most first volumes in a series, contain a bookmark. And the idea is, it comes with a bookmark, you collect the series, and then while you're reading the series, you use this bookmark to tell you kind of where you are in the story, right? And so I have like a big collection of a few of them, so maybe I'll do a video talking about them. But yeah, that's kind of the basic kind of situation here. There is an Argentinian and Spanish edition of this book as well that looks a little bit different, and there is none in the US. I don't think that they'll come out with a new one anytime soon. Viz doesn't seem the type to really kind of go out of its way to make good editions for their creators, especially their longer time creators, but they did recently do the Vagabond editions. So if those are successful, maybe we can get some Slam Dunk editions, since they are both made by Takehiko Inoue, as you guys can see there. So otherwise, the rest of the book facts here are that this is a shonen. This used to be on Shonen Jump. The genres here are sports, specifically basketball, and there's kind of an element of romance to this. And of course, there's also the fact that this is almost a delinquent series, right? This seems to be something that was quite popular back in the day. Even Yu Hakusho was a delinquent series that happened to also be kind of like Bleach in the same vein, which also is kind of like a delinquent series that ends up being an urban fantasy, right? And so this is a delinquent series that happens to be about basketball, right? And this seems to be a genre type that was pretty popular back in the day. We have seen some level of resurgence here in the last couple of years in the States, but I don't know if that's really going to last that long. I mean, there was Tokyo Revengers. Fable is technically about an adult delinquent, so that doesn't really count. And there's a few series like that, but they're not really all that popular, or they're popular in certain ways. And it's not the same, like delinquent is not the same as Yakuza, even if they are superficially the same thing, right? So I'm not really sure if that's really all that relevant there, so I'll stop talking about it. But adaptations-wise, it does have an adaptation, a very classic anime that's really well-loved. And there is also Slam Dunk the First, which is a movie that you can watch on Netflix. It's a 3D CGI animated movie, so it looks kind of wonky, but it's supposed to be pretty good. So you can definitely watch that if you're interested. I don't know if that follows the original story, or if it's like a completely different thing. I'm not really sure, but you can watch that if you're interested. In terms of rating for this book, it's a 4.5 out of 5, at least the first 6 chapters, which is what we're covering here today. This is like a 10 chapter book, I think. Let's see. Yeah, there's 11 chapters in this. And like I said, rating 4.5 out of 5. The premise here is that we meet this red-haired delinquent character called Hanamichi Sakuragi. I think Sakuragi is his first name. And he gains an interest in basketball because he ends up chasing this girl that he likes. And as he does this, he realizes that he actually does have a passion for the game. He finds sports to be a very grounding and valuable experience for him, which I think is a pretty common trope. And I like that. I think it's a really good one, right? So, yeah. Let's get into the plotline here. It opens up on middle school. Hanamichi has been rejected by a girl. And it turns out that he's constantly rejected by young women. In middle school, I think he was rejected like 200 times. And this is the last one that happens before they graduate. And it actually gives him such a long depression that even midway through like their first year of high school, the depression's still lingering, right? Eventually, while he's in high school, he meets this girl called Haruko Akagi. And she asks him if he likes basketball. Falling in love with her immediately, because he's a bit stupid, he says yes, even though he doesn't know anything about basketball whatsoever. And then she explains to him that that's great, that he's really tall, and that he can probably dunk. And he doesn't really know what it is, but when she explains it to him, he realizes that that shit sounds cool as fuck, right? And so he does it, and he can do it quite well. And so this slam dunk, this first moment really heightens the experience for him. The fact that he found something he's good at, he enjoys it, there's a collaborative effort, and it also allows him to interact with this girl that he likes, makes this kind of the perfect storm for him to be really deeply invested in basketball, right? And so he spent some time messing around at school, and then he kind of goes back and forth with Haruko about his interest in her. And she doesn't really understand what's going on here. She doesn't get that he likes her, but she also doesn't really dislike interacting with him, so she just kind of goes along with it, right? Eventually, we get introduced to this guy called Rukawa, who is an awesome basketball player. He's like kind of like the top kid in middle school in Japan, and so he ended up enrolling at Shuhaku High School the same way that that Sakuragi did. And now that he's there, Haruko is really invested in this. She really loves Rukawa's play style, and she's very invested in him succeeding, right? And so Hanamichi thinks that he has a rival in this Rukawa guy, right? And so he becomes Sakuragi's rival. And this is a very like Naruto, Sasuke type thing. Rukawa is one of those quiet, kind of angry guys, and Sakuragi is like all up in your face, right? He's very colorful, right? And eventually, Haruko kind of rejects Sakuragi. And in his sadness, he comes across Akagi, the team captain, who happens to be Haruko's brother. And Akagi is this really massive guy. And it's kind of funny because the way that Takiko Inoue draws him, you would think that he's like, you know, a black guy from like the US, right? But he's not. He's like properly just Japanese. And because this guy's the team captain of the basketball team, and Sakuragi's mad at the fact that Haruko rejected him, he says that basketball sucks. And so this makes Akagi mad, and so they have a duel. And it's a mess, and it's ridiculous, and Sakuragi's bad at playing, so he doesn't actually make anything possible. He doesn't, score any goals, he can't steal the ball, he can't do anything. But he has a lot of physical stamina. And so eventually, he manages to take the ball away from Akagi, and as Akagi is about to score something, Sakuragi tackles him, pants him, and kind of then dunks on him. And when he does, he wins the duel. He scored, and so the by the rules of the duel that they set up, Sakuragi has won, right? Akagi has lost, and so he finds out that this is Haruko's older brother, and this is kind of what leads us to Sakuragi trying to join the basketball team. Now that he realizes that it's kind of fun, right? And that he knows that he can get to Haruko through Akagi, right? And it's pretty fun. I really enjoyed it. I think that initially it's kind of slow and it doesn't really work that well because it really doesn't feel like a basketball series. It feels like a school romance series that isn't well written. And then eventually it all kind of clicks, right? And it clicks around the time that they're doing the duel. So about, 4 or 5 chapters in. And after that, it really picks up and it really, really gets great. So I recommend you guys read through at least 2 volumes of Slam Dunk. If you aren't really invested yet, at that point you should definitely drop it. But I recommend that you read at least a little bit more than that because it does really pick up and it gets really, really great, right? So in these first chapters, at the ending of that, we basically just kind of transition over to something else, right? Which is why I'm stopping at this point. So in terms of characters so far, we get introduced to Sakuragi Hanamichi, we get introduced to Haruko Akagi, and Kaede Rukawa, who is Sakuragi's rival, and then Takenori Akagi, who is Haruko's older brother. He is the leader of the Shohaku basketball team, and he is, by all intent and purpose, like one of the better players in the kind of region. And he is basically the cornerstone for Shohaku. He is the strongest player and also maybe one of the only good ones on the team. And so this is kind of where we get to see Sakuragi becoming relevant, right? And world building wise, we learned about Shohaku High. We don't really learn anything else. It's not really all that important. This is like supposed to be in the real world, or like a vaguely fake real world, right? And so there really is no world building, but we learn a little bit about Shohaku High and the fact that it used to be a pretty good basketball school, but now it's not. And there's kind of been a kind of change. We have noticed that Shohaku High is getting better at basketball again, but it's really due to Takenori Akagi. It's not really due to anything else, right? And that's really all there is for that. In terms of artwork and fan service, I think the artwork is amazing. It's really fun. It's really energetic. I think the pencils here are amazing. Takehiko Inoue's artwork is phenomenal, right? There is no fan service so far, and I think broadly speaking, there's basically no fan service through any of the 7 volumes that I've read so far. And I think that's good. Sometimes a lot of these older series feel like they kind of fall into having too much fan service in some ways, or others. And it's really not something important, and it's great that there isn't much or any at all, because this is like a very safe series. Like anyone can read this, right? Because I know that there's quite a lot of people that don't like fan service in their manga, and this one is one that kind of passes, all of the requirements for it to be accessible to everyone, right? It's quite similar to something like Haikyuu, right? So yeah, in terms of ratings, this is a 4.5. Like I said, it's great artwork, great storytelling. It's a bit light on the basketball so far, but that really kind of changes going forward. So this isn't perfect because I feel like it doesn't really get to the basketball fast enough, but it does a really good job at establishing our character of Sakuragi and kind of getting you interested in his story and really developing the idea that Sakuragi is falling in love with the game as the story goes, right? So I really liked it. I just think that there could have been more basketball faster, right? So those are my thoughts on Slam Dunk here. This is chapters 1 through 6. This is kind of what I'm calling the introductory arc, but it's not really that. So yeah, next video that covers this should be chapters 7 through 14. That's going to be basically the joining the team arc, right? And then from there, we're going to have some other stuff. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys later.